Hi there, welcome to you guys. My name is Martin Wiese, and today I'm going to walk you through Nanoverse, one of the latest tracks I did for FM Lab, a brand new instrument within the flagship sampler HALion 7 by Steinberg. For those of you who are not that deep into synthesis, FM stands for frequency modulation, and in this approach to synthesis you have a carrier, which is an oscillator mainly, that is cross-modulated via several operators, which are oscillators too. And with this concept you get really cool and unique sounds, and some of them which are in FM Lab I'm going to present to you today. I'm really excited about all this, so let's just go ahead and jump right into the session. The bass sounds are the fundamentals of this piece. We will have a look at them soon, but for you to get an overview over the piece as a whole, let's have a first listen to it. I've visually separated things so you can easily find the different parameters this track consists of. Bass is above, then all the percussive elements, followed by pads and drones, completed by leads and effects. Have fun! The bass sound right after the intro consists of two layers. The first layer uses the sound lately. And as you can see, I didn't change anything according to the sound. It's absolutely identical to the one you get with FM Lab. What I did is to design a new arpeggiator pattern. I instantly liked that bass sound. As I've already pointed out in the intro, is that FM is a special approach on synthesis like analog or grain synthesis, for example. You see that FM Lab has a very simple and intuitive macro page with all valuable information about the preset. If you click on one of the different tabs you get to the corresponding subpage with all more detailed features. On the left here, you can skip through your operators for tweaking all necessary parameters like waveform, pitch, tuning, pitch envelope, or ADSR curve. If you want to, you can skip through various presets of operator setups here. Or you can click on carrier or all the operators that are creating this sound within this preset. But you should be really careful with that if you're working on a specific preset, because that may change the sound radically. Let's head over to the second bass layer. Here as well, I didn't change the sound at all apart from the arpeggiator pattern, which is the same as with hook bass. But interesting is, as always when it comes to layering, how the two interact with each other to create this special vibe of the hook bass. First, hook bass. Then hook bass layer B. As you can hear, while knowing both of these layers in solo mode, layer A is for the distinct quality of the sound, while layer B adds dimension, room, and emotion to it. What is really cool again with this minimalistic approach on the macro page is that you can easily access any of the effects you may want to use in your sound. Let's quickly check out what happens when deactivating the effect chain on layer B. Without effects, you can spot this special attitude FM offers that most of the other approaches don't. It's this very distinct FM way the bass sounds. Adding effects gives some room and emotion, but FM happens earlier, which might be quite obvious, but it's easily overheard within this whole context of the track. The second bass arp is a good example to understand the more detailed functionality of FMLab. We are on the FM oscillator page on both the original sound and my slightly modified version. I did two things. First, I deactivated the arpeggiator of the second layer of the original sound. As you can see, you can add layers of FMLab on top of another, which is really cool. Let's listen to the original sound. For my bass in this particular situation, I didn't want to use the second layer, so the fastest way for me was to erase any information within the arpeggiator, but still leaving it enabled so that there would be no sound coming out of layer 2. This might seem like a strange way, but while composing you might come out using the second layer again, and if it's simply gone, you have a lot of time lost to get it back. Second thing I modified is the ADSR curve of the carrier. Let's listen to the modified bass. A cool way to easily modulate the sounds coming alongside FMLab is to use these 4 little buttons. With the time scale knobs, you can modulate the time scale of the carrier and all the operators, while mod levels controls the level of all modulators. Global feedback controls the amount carrier or operators modulate themselves. Some of you might have recognized that you hear a delay and room effect on the bass arp, but we don't have a corresponding effect here in the rack. That's the time to delve a little bit deeper into HALion architecture. The reason for this is clear if you remember that 2 layers of FMLab were used in the original sound. So, it's a lot easier to put these global effects on the global program bus where both the sounds come together. What you can glimpse here is what a vast potential lies under the hood of HALion. You can do whatever you want inside HALion, and you don't have to leave the plugin. That's a big time saver, not only when it comes to tight deadlines, but it helps to keep your creative flow going. Helicopter Harmony isn't a bass sound, but it is closely connected to the bass sounds because of its 16th movement. Also, there aren't any more arpeggiator sounds on the harmonic side. I'm calling these sounds helicopters, by the way, because they have this flappy continuous 16th pattern, which reminds me of helicopters. I don't quite know if this is a commonly used word in the musical field. What's interesting about this specific sound is that the movement is created by a filter envelope. I like this sound for bringing the chords to life. Before, we've heard only chords in the strings pad. From a mixing perspective, it's interesting to have a look at the EQ. If deactivated, it sounds like that. Much more presence and less muffling mid-range that would interfere with the bass. Together with the strings we get a thick but still clear texture for the chords. And now, all together with the bass. What's interesting here is that if adding the bass, the string sounds livelier than without the bass. Without bass they sound a bit static, but that's exactly what they're supposed to be, to deliver a static field around all the movement. Layering is important again when it comes to the string pads. There are 2 dimensions on which layering takes place here. First, I've separated the 2 layers on both sides of the stereo fields, high to the right, lower to the left. That makes the scape sound bigger than it really is and keeps things clear and open for the bass. Second, I've chosen 2 different sounds for the higher and lower range, so there was no need of further EQing. Let's check this out. One last thing concerning harmony. In this track, harmony doesn't play a very large role, but there is a point where harmony is put into the driver's seat, and that's starting with bar 38. We're looking at a very classical cadence here, which may sound sophisticated, but is indeed very simple. Coming from A major at bar 36, we go to B minor, A major on the third, to D minor, which is turning out to be the new tonic. With the next progressions, I'm just clearing the way for this D minor, foreseeing it very obvious that the conclusion of all this will be D minor. From G minor on the third over D minor on the third to G minor with fifth and sixth, which in the classical sense is a clear sign for this chord being the subdominant, accumulating in a D minor over A to an A major, being clearly heard as a dominant for the D minor, surely coming to resolve all this. But what is happening? The music continues with E minor, the starting point of the whole track. Let's listen to that. This part in a way shows what harmony is capable of. The wrong resolve to E minor kind of resets the whole track, and the music makes a setback in a way it never appears in reality. A thing that might only happen in a surreal world. The resolve is not strange, it doesn't resolve into a falling fifth, but just into a falling fourth. But it still feels wrong because we are so used to hear the fifth instead of the fourth. Let's head over towards the rhythmic patches. We are looking at four major elements in the groove: hi-hats, beat mid, beat main, and kick. Starting with the beat mid, you can see that it's a combination of two sounds, microbeat here and the very beautiful Drum Loops Factory 2 preset. You have to check them out for yourself in detail. They give you so much inspiration and they can be mangled in many different ways. The result sounds very sick and close to too much in a useful way, because when added, the bass takes over so much that you can only feel the beefy part of the kick in this part. Later in the climax part, we have the FM kick to get more presence. You can easily hear the rise of energy here just through the kick. You can see that I used the microbeat preset again. What you can see here is how this preset is using the levels of the different operators. For the hi-hat layer, I used 16th movement in the arpeggiator, sparing out kick sounds. The sound is no real hi-hat, of course, but it takes over the function of a hi-hat. The two layers are identical using the Haas effect, which I've already demonstrated in some other tracks of mine. The hi-hat right is set back to create the illusion of a wider stereo image. You can see in the inspector that layer right is set back 17 milliseconds, which may sound like nearly nothing, but let's check out what happens if we raise numbers here. You can hear what big a difference this is. As well as with the pads, this effect helps the hook bass standing out as the powerful center of the piece. FM Beat Main is a modification of the Drum Loops 1 preset to get the illusion of a strange snare that is playing 16th notes. It simply adds drive to the climax part. The next aspect I want to point out today are the lead sounds of this track. Very prominent in the intro, the lead flute. A lovely sound that has a very special fluty but non-fluty aspect in the same way. For me, it seemed perfect for a track named Nano World. The melody in the main part consists of 3 layers. Let's look at them briefly. First of all, lead A, Harmonicon. Then layer B, spin off. Then, last not least, lead C, let us get nasty. And all of them in combination. Sounds strange, doesn't it? To be honest, it sounds really bad if just listening to it in solo mode, because you recognize all these overtones that don't seem to fit. That's because of the shift of layer C, which plays a fourth deeper to match tune with the others. But the higher it plays, the weirder it sounds. But hear what happens when adding it to the rest of the music. Sometimes in music you'll have to try out wrong things to end up with something that suits well. We are almost done with today's walkthrough video. Let's just have a little glimpse at the transition effect here. So far so good, but to achieve this ramp effect I had to toggle a bit with volume automation. Okay, there we are again. I hope you've enjoyed the ride through Nano World. Again, every sound we've spotted today comes alongside the brand new FM lab within HALion 7. Every sound, apart from 2 additional sounds from Backbone down here, come from this amazing set of FM sounds. Explore them for yourself, have fun making the music you love making, and see you again soon. Bye bye!